Hello, this is a TradeSite trade recap brought to you by charts from eSignal 11. We'd like to discuss the BIDU trade call that we made on Tuesday, August 13th, 2013. And I'm going to show you, first I'm going to show you the daily chart where the trade call came from. And then I'm going to show you how we actually turned it into two trade calls to the day using our various tools that we use on eSignal 11. So here's a look at the daily chart of BIDU. And this is what we call a high range base. A lot of people would look at this chart and think, oh, this is an overextended pattern. Stocks moved too far. It's come from 100 a month ago to 140, up 40%. There's no way this thing can push higher, but this is the type of strength we like to see for a short squeeze slash new high breakout. So we're watching this coming into the session for a breakout over this blue line, which is the high back a few days ago, and that's $139.85, $139.85. So here's the trading session, and what I've done is I've split screened this. So you've got the ES futures on the left side of your screen and BIDU on the right side of the screen. So we can go through these step by step and watch what happened to the market, because at TradeSite we're very flexible, and when we see a technical setup, no matter what else we think about the stock at the time, we're going to go for it. And so today we came in, we got a little gap up in the market, as you can see here on the left side. These are the ES futures. We got a gap up comparably in the BIDU, and we're still at 138.40 as the high of the opening bar. And remember, the buy point for us is over 139.85. So what we get at this point in time is we're going to watch the futures. I'm going to push this forward a couple of bars. These are two 5-minute bars on the futures, and you can see that we initially headed down here in the futures market to fill the gap that you saw. And that's pretty common to see. So as we see the market direction turn red, and that's what we call this when you roll over like that, let's watch what happens to BIDU at the same time in those first two bars. Here's what's interesting. The low of these first two bars on BIDU ends up being 137.50, the opening bar and the third bar. So it has set as a support level intraday 137.50, and we've got a bigger gap down here below. So at this point, remember, we're 15 minutes in, the futures have filled their gap, and they have a downward bias. But the BIDU has not yet filled its gap, and we know that 80% of gaps fill the same day. So we went ahead and made a trade call out to our customers to go short BIDU under 137.50. Now let me go forward. I'm going to go another 3 bars on the futures. 1, 2, see how we're heading even lower? 3 on the futures. So that downward bias is continuing, and let's see what happens on the BIDU during those same 3 bars. So here's 1. There's our trigger, short under 137.50, 2 a little bit lower, and 3. So at this point in time, the gap fill is basically 136.80. That's what we were interested in. So it's an opportunity to make about 70 cents on the BIDU. And the way we trade, there's some parameters of taking a partial for about 50 cents, moving our stop. But again, looking for that gap fill was the goal on that stock while the market direction seemed to be negative. Now, that would have been enough for a little gain on BIDU for the session, and we probably would have been happy with that and moved on, but we never give up on anything. We always keep watching, and I'm going to play forward, and you may hear some loud noises as certain alerts signal, but I'm going to play forward the next bit of the day so you can see the futures continue to go lower. BIDU actually held up, and you can see that BIDU here, okay, so here we are now about an hour and a half into the market, and even though the market's still very negative, we haven't really bounced much off the lows on the futures. BIDU has, and in fact, in this move right here, BIDU got as high as 139.40. Remember, it's 139.85. That's our trigger. So we're still watching BIDU at this point in time, and it's going to be a lot more interesting to us if the futures start to show some strength, and we have some more complicated tools for measuring that. But I'm just going to focus for now on the general pattern of the futures. So let's take a look here at what happens next in the futures. Next couple of bars, 1, 2, 3, 4. See, it's coming back up. 1, 2, 3, 4. And here's BIDU still holding its ground, basing under that 139.85 area. At this point, the futures have come more than halfway back up for the day. So we're still interested in whatever happens to BIDU, especially if the futures can hold up. And so now I'm going to play these forward again. Let's continue to see how they move throughout the session, and we're getting some various alerts here that we follow. Those are the sounds that you hear. Now the futures are actually breaking out the highs. I'm going to pause it right here. So here we are just after noon Eastern time. The futures are what are surging. So remember, originally the futures were weaker. BIDU took longer to head down. That's what gave us the indication. Okay, again, we want to see the futures weak and then get on a stock that's weak and go to the short side. Now we've got the futures actually breaking out to highs for the session, approaching those highs right there, as you can see. And I've got the BIDU, if I reset this scale here back towards the beginning of the day, right? BIDU is just holding up, basing near the highs. And again, the 139.85 is just off the top of the screen. Now I'm going to push the futures forward about 5 more bars. And here we go. Here comes BIDU heading up and now taking that 139.85 trigger. So here's the trigger on BIDU as the futures are showing their best strength of the day, very much at the highs of the session. Okay, now I'm going to stop watching futures because the rest of the day in the futures, I'll show you what they look like. It just stays near the highs, pushes a little bit higher, and then the rest of the session is pretty flat on the futures. But let's take a look at what happens to the BIDU during that period. So we've got the trigger 139.85. Okay, we're going to form a little bull flag on the 5-minute chart type of formation. You can see just a pause right here, and you can see that high from earlier in the morning, 139.40. Okay, that would be support on the chart now. We don't quite touch it, but we come near it. So we've got a 139.85 trigger, last intraday support at 139.40, a little pullback to 139.50, and now let's watch. And there you go. Now you're already up to 140.40. The stock's taken off here. And just like before, we're going to take a partial profit on the trade at this point. Move a stop down. We'd like to see a close under the 139.85, and I can draw that line for you right here. So basically, if we close under this level on a 5-minute bar, I might consider getting out of the trade. Let's again look and see how the rest of the day plays out. And again, you will hear sound effects as certain signals are triggered off of our tools. No close under that bar. See how that happened? Basically pushes as high as 142.50 for the end of the day, never closing below that key area that we watched for support. That is an ideal trade for us for BIDU. Made money first on the short side in the morning, trying to take advantage of the gap fill when the market direction was red. Turns around, the stock recovers a couple of points on a $130 stock and ends up triggering long off of the daily chart with market support. Futures hit new highs. Great intraday action and using those intraday technicals for support and resistance here after the trigger, and gives us a nice run of several points late in the day. This has been a TradeSight Trade Recap.